Let's go ahead and get back started. Eleazar, what was the last thing you heard, bro?
Can you hear me?
Con. Yeah, what was the last thing you remember hearing?
Um, I forgot what it was. Honestly.
Okay. I know we went over Manasseh and the prayer of Manasseh. All right. Okay, prayer of Manasseh. All right. Con. All right, so Manasseh repented, all right, and the Most High, because he repented, the Most High respected that. All right, he respected that. And he understood that he needed to subject his mind to the Most High and stop thinking the way he thought that he should think. Because his mind led him to do what was evil in the sight of the Most High. All right, so from there, let's go to Second Ezra chapter 8 and verse 47.
Second Ezra chapter 8, verse 47. For thou comest far short that thou should be able to love my creature more than I. But I have
Mhm.
oftentimes drawn down to thee and unto it, but never to the unrighteous.
Right. So the reason why this is Uriel speaking to Ezra. All right. Ezra and Ezra is the same person. Ezra is just how you say his name in the Greek. All right. So he's saying Uriel is telling him, look, you don't love my creation more than I. The reason he's telling him that is because Ezra was sad. Esdras was sad because he had come to the conclusion that the majority of his people are going to die. Two-thirds of Israel will die when the Most High comes back and judges the earth because they're not going to have a contrite spirit. They're going to stay in their sin, right? Let's read on.
And this also thou art marvelous before the Most High,
He say, in this you're marvelous before the Most High because of what? Read on.
and that thou hast humbled thyself as it becometh thee, and hast not judged thyself worthy to be much glorified among the righteous.
So that's the type of attitude Esdras had. He didn't have an attitude to where he thought that he was worthy of salvation, right? A lot of times in Israel, man, we can kind of get prideful. Once we go to learning that we're Israel, that the laws, the statutes, and commandments were given to us and no one else, that God loves us, we kind of get on our high horse, man, before we make it to the kingdom. But Esdras knew he was an Israelite, right? But yet and still he didn't judge himself as worthy. All right, read on.
For many great miseries shall be done to them that in the latter times shall dwell in the world, because they have walked in great pride.
So Uriel is saying many people are gonna go through it in the latter times, these times, because they walk in great pride. All right. So we can't judge ourselves worthy of the grace that God has bestowed upon us. We have to consider our ways and understand that we all deserve death. All right. So let's go now from there. Let's go to First Corinthians chapter 11 and verse 31. Let's see what the Bible say.
For if we judge ourselves, we should not be judged.
It say if we judged ourselves, if it was left up to us to judge ourselves, we wouldn't be judged. Why? Because we would judge ourselves as worthy. We wouldn't correct ourselves, basically, because we be wise in our own eyes, but the ways thereof are death, right? So we can't judge ourselves. We got to rely on the word of the Most High God, all right? And that's you having a spirit of humility, right? Watch this. Let's look up the word humility. I like this word, humility. All right, so it says a modest or low view of one's own importance. Humbleness, that's humility, right? A low view of your own importance. That's the opposite of what the world teaches. All right. Self-made. All right. That's what the world say. Self-made. When good and evil come from the Lord. All right. Riches and poor come from the Most High God. Nobody is self-made. That's a
Hmm.
prideful attitude and one that you want to stay away from. All right. Soon as you get prideful, that's the beginning of you getting ready to go off in the eyes of the Lord. All right. So let's look at our fourth prophet. Let's look at
Hey, King.
go,
A
go ahead.
precept come in mind when you bringing out humility, and that's John 3:30.
Let's
He
get it.
must increase, but I must decrease. Right? We have to die to ourselves.
All right. John chapter 3 and verse 30. He must increase, but I must decrease.
Right. That just popped in mind when you brought out humility. That's all, and that also goes into being humble, denying yourself, right? Not thinking yourself was so much important.
Mm-hmm. Because John was a mighty man. Said of men born of women, there is none like John. He was more than a prophet. All right. So John had a great following. But when Yahweh Shah came on the scene, he understood that he was only being made great to make a way for the king. All right. And that's he didn't get beside himself, in other words, and say, man, I ain't giving up my following. I'm all these people I done baptized, all these people I done taught. Hey, it kind of get like that with some of these camps, man, in Israel. They think this their truth. The truth belong to them. But this ain't your truth. You don't own this truth. This God's truth. All right. So never forget that, man. We gotta have a spirit of humility, realizing that we're not important, right? We're not necessary for what the Most High is doing. He can do what He's doing. He said, "I can raise up these stones, right, to be children of the Most High God." All right. So let's go to look at David real quick. Let's go look at David, King David, because King David was a mighty man in the sight of the Lord. All right. Let's go to 2 Samuel chapter 12 and verse number 13.
And David said unto Nathan, I have sinned against the Lord. And Nathan said unto David, the Lord also has put away thy sin. Thou shalt not die.
Thou shalt not die. So David, at first, this is after he sinned and slept with Bathsheba, after he committed murder, right? He sinned against the Most High God, but something led up to that sin. David started out being righteous, right? What led up to that? What brought that on, right? Let's go to the book real quick of Sirach. Something always leads up to sin. All right, it don't just happen. Let's go to Sirach chapter 10 and verse 12. Watch this.
The beginning of pride is when one departed from Yahweh, and his heart is turned away from his maker.
All right, so that's the moment that you start being prideful, when you stop keeping the commandments, right? Because that's what we're required to do, right? Read on.
For pride is the beginning of sin, and he that hath it shall pour out abomination. And therefore the Lord brought upon them strange calamities, and overthrew them utterly.
Mm-hmm. It says so pride is the beginning of sin. You don't sin until you develop a spirit of pride. As long as you got a contrite spirit, you're going to keep the commandments because you know that that's your duty as a human being, as a man or a woman. The only duty that you have is to keep the commandments of God. But
Mm,
when you say, I'm going to do my own thing, I'm going to do what I want to do, that's you having a pride. And it
mm,
says, when you do that, the Lord is going to pour out strange calamities over you. Strange calamity could be your car breakdown, you catch a STD, right? Somebody all of a sudden want to kill you. That's a strange calamity because you weren't going through that before you started sinning, right? More than likely. But the moment you develop that prideful spirit, now strange things finna start happening to you. So that's what happened to David. David was a king. He was a mighty warrior, right? He started feeling himself at some point. Before he slept with Bathsheba, he started
Mm.
feeling himself. All right. It didn't just happen like that. Before that happened, he started. It's telling you right there. Pride is the beginning of sin.
Mm. Mm.
All right. So that's the nuances of why David did what he did. But he felt bad afterwards and he repented, like we read in Psalms 51. That's a prayer of David after he did that sin. All right. He had a contrite spirit afterwards. All right. So let's look at another
Hey,
brother.
that's a
Go
heavy
ahead.
precept that you just brought out. Because for pride is the beginning of sin. They doing it because they think they're gonna get away with it, or the thought that you're gonna get away with it, or there's no repercussions behind that action, that pride. So that's a mighty precept, man.
All praise to the Most High, man. All right, so we want to stay away from that pride, man. Let's go to Matthew from there. Matthew chapter 26. All right, and verse 75. Hold on. Hmm, I don't want to make it too long. Let's go to verse 75. All right, so this is after Peter, right? He betrayed Yahweh Shai, right? Let's read that. Verse 75.
And Peter remembered the words of Yahweh Shah, which said unto him, before the cock crow, thou shalt deny me thrice. And he went out and wept bitterly.
He wept bitterly, right? Because before this, Yahweh Shai had told him, he's like, look, you're gonna deny me 3 times, Peter. Before the rooster crow 3 times. You're gonna deny me, man. And he was like, man, I never deny you. He was
Mm-hmm.
big and bad about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was going in on Yahweh Shai. Man, what you talking about? That's crazy. I never do that, right? Let's read it. Let's go to verse 33. Watch this.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah, verse 33.
Peter answered and said unto him, though all men shall be offended because of thee, yet will I never be offended.
So Peter was bold. He was like, I'll never be offended of you,
Mm.
Jesus. Right? Read on.
Yahushua said unto him, verily I say unto thee, that this night, before the cock crow, thou shalt deny me thrice.
Mm-hmm.
Peter said unto him, though I should deny with, though I should die with thee, yet will I not deny thee. Likewise also said all the disciples.
So all the disciples was bold and like, I'm a die. We willing to die before I deny you. Right? Read on.
Then cometh Yahushua with them unto a place called Gethsemane, no
Mm-hmm.
Gethsemane, and said unto the disciples, sit ye here while I go and pray yonder. And he took
Mm-hmm.
with him Peter and the 2 sons of Zebedee, and began to be sorrowful and very heavy.
Right? Because he knew he was gonna die. Right. So that's the context of why it said that in verse 65, 75. It said, and Peter remembered the word of Jesus of Yahweh Shai, which said unto him, before the cock crow, thou shalt deny me thrice, 3 times. And he went out and wept bitterly. Right. But that made Peter stronger. He grew from that, right? Because it humbled him. You understand? So it's good to feel bad about sin when you commit sin. Godly
Mhm.
sorrow is a good thing, right? So let's go back to Second Corinthians now. Let's go back to Second Corinthians chapter 7. All right. Let's read verse 10 again.
Verse 10, For godly sorrow worketh repentance to salvation, not to be repented of.
Now
But
we
the
know what
sorrow of
godly
the world,
sorrow is. All right. Godly sorrow is when you feel bad about your sin. You have a contrite spirit. Right? Read on.
but the sorrow of the world worketh death.
Mm-hmm.
For behold, this self same thing that ye sorrow after a godly sort, what carefulness it wrought in you. Yeah,
Right?
what
It
clearing of
says
yourselves.
Salaki. So it says, what carefulness it wrought in you, meaning you sinned and you felt bad about it. Now you're more careful, right? You're a more careful person now, right? Watch this. We're gonna go back. Let's go to Ephesians. What carefulness it wrought in you. Ephesians chapter 5 and verse 15. Let's read that,
See then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as
right?
wise.
So the Bible says, see then that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise. What does circumspect mean? Let's look at that word. Circumspect. All right. So it says wary and unwilling to take risks. All right. So that's the type of attitude you develop when you develop a contrite spirit. You see
Mm.
how the Bible works? You see how by doing these things, it's going to help you to be closer to perfection? Hopefully, that's made more clear. When you make a mistake, you're supposed to feel bad about that mistake,
Mhm.
about that sin. You repent of that mistake, you pick yourself up. Now you're Salakia, you're supposed to walk circumspect or careful, unwilling to take risks. It's like, for instance, if you committed adultery, right? You're going to feel terrible about that, most high willing. You're going to start to retrace the steps that it took leading up to you committing adultery. You'll say, man, it started out with me scrolling on that phone, looking at stuff I ain't had no business, right? Then next thing you know, I started being a little more friendly with people of the opposite sex. I started hanging around different people that was encouraging me to step out. All right. Then I started looking at shows and watching TV shows and listening to music that was talking about committing adultery. Next thing you know, I met somebody. Next thing you know, we meeting up somewhere. Now you know, then that's when it happened. You start retracing them steps. And then after you make that mistake and you repent of it, you're supposed to start moving careful after that. You're supposed to start saying, nah, I can't watch that. I know what happened the last time I started watching stuff like that. I can't listen to that. I know what happened the last time, right? So that's what circumspect means, right? So let's go back to Second Corinthians chapter 7 again. Let's read verse 10, because we're going to examine the second part of that, right? Worldly sorrow. Let's read that.
For godly sorrow worketh repentance to salvation, not to be repented of. But the sorrow of the world worketh death.
All right. So godly sorrow, we know what that is. That's a good thing, right? That's gonna help you to be careful in your walk. That's gonna help you to be more careful and get closer to perfection. The opposite is sorrowing after the world, being sad that you are no longer able to do the things of the world, right? That's a dangerous thing, right? Watch this. Let's go to Psalms. Now we're going to do some preventative measures. We're going to try to help you not get to that point. Psalm 73. And we're going to start at verse 1.
Truly, Yahweh is good to Israel, even to
Mhm.
such are of a clean heart.
So he's good to Israel, those of a clean heart, right? Read on.
But as for me, my feet were almost gone. My steps had well nigh slipped. For I was envious at the foolish when I saw the prosperity of the wicked.
All
For
right.
there
So
are
this
no
is Salaki. So it says a psalm of Asaph, right? In my Bible, it says a psalm for Asaph. All right. It says it has a little number right there, number 9, and then it says 4, right? Meaning David, it's indicating that David wrote this for Asaph. But nonetheless, right, it says, but as it says, truly God is good to Israel, even as to such are of a clean heart. But as for me, my feet were almost gone. My steps had well nigh slipped. In this context, the feet represent the mind, right? He said, my steps had well nigh slipped. Why? For I was envious at the foolish. The same way King Manasseh was envious. He was envious at the heathen before he started acting like them. Because to envy somebody means you want something that they have. All right. You looking at what you got and you looking at what they got, and what you got, you feel like is not good enough for you. That's coveting at the end of the day at its core. All right. So he was envious, right? He said, I was envious, verse 3, for I was envious at the foolish when I saw the prosperity of the wicked,
Mm-hmm.
right? Sometimes it may look like the wicked are winning. All right.
Mm-hmm.
That's the type of attitude that you do not want to have, right? That's sorrowing after the world, right? We're going to come back to here probably, but I want to look at somebody. I want to look at Job, right, for a second. Let's go to the book of Job and let's read, let's start at verse 1, chapter 1 and verse 1.
There was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job, and that man was perfect and upright, and one that feared Yahweh and eschewed evil.
Mm-hmm.
And there were born unto him 7 sons and 3 daughters. His substance
Mm-hmm.
also was 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen, 500 she asses, and a very great household, so that this man was the greatest of all the men of the east.
So Job was a very rich man. It said he feared God, meaning he hated evil, right? He kept the commandments. All right. It says that he was a righteous man, a perfect man, an upright man, and he also was a rich man. There was nobody in the East as rich as Job. You got to understand, why is that important? Right? I'm gonna show you something. Let's go to Sirach. Sirach chapter 27 and verse, matter of fact, we're going to start at Sirach chapter 26 and verse, let's read verse 29, and then we're going to
Verse,
read on.
okay, come. Verse 29. A merchant shall hardly keep himself from doing wrong, and a huckster shall not be freed from sin.
Right? So it says a merchant shall hardly keep himself from doing wrong. Somebody who is a business owner. A lot of times they gonna do what's wrong. Why? Because they concerned about making money. They gonna work on the Sabbath, right? A huckster is somebody who sells like small goods, right? They may have a thrift store or something like that. They always trying to make the extra dollar, right? And that keeps them in sin a lot of the times, right? Because they deal falsely with their people sometimes, right? Let's read on. Chapter 27 and verse 1.
Verse 1. Many have sinned for a small matter, and he that seeketh for abundance will turn his eyes away.
Right? He say, many are sin for a small matter, and he that seeketh for abundance will turn his eyes away. Turn his eyes away from what? The laws of God, because you want to make money. Right? Read on.
As a nail sticketh fast between the joinings of the stones, so does sin stick close between buying and selling.
Right? If you put a nail between two stones, it's hard to get that nail out of there, right? The same way that sticks close to the stones, it says that's how sin sticks close to buying and selling. It's hard to not, because you're gonna want to make money when the money is available to make, which is a lot of times on Saturday, right? In the world we live in, it's always been like that. They want to sell to Israel on the Sabbath, which is a
Right.
sin, right? Read verse 3.
Unless a man hold himself diligently in the fear of the Lord, his house shall soon be overthrown.
Right. So unless you hold yourself diligently in the fear of the Lord, it says your house will be overthrown. Unless you, like it said, Job did. The fear of the Lord is to eschew evil, meaning to hate sin. Unless
Mm-hmm.
you act like him, your house will be overthrown. Right. So now let's go back to Job. Now we know a little bit more why that's so impressive about Job being as rich as he was, but
Mm-hmm.
still fearing the Most High God. Right. So now let's go down to let's go to verse 6. So Job was a perfect and upright man. He had a large family. Right. Verse 6 and 7.
Now there was a day when the sons of Yahweh came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them. And the Lord said unto Satan, Whence comest thou? Then Satan answered the Lord and said, From going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it. And the
Right.
Lord said unto
So Satan said, look, I'm doing what I created to be doing. I go to and fro in the earth and walking down, up and down in it. You know what he
Mhm.
walking up and down in the earth doing? Right? Hold on, hold that. We're gonna come back. Let's go to chapter First Peter's chapter 3 and verse 8. Let's see what he walking up and down in the earth doing. Hold on. 5. First Peter chapter 5 and verse 8.
Mhm. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour.
Right? So it said, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, is walking up and down, seeking whom he may devour. All right. That's what Satan was doing, looking for somebody to devour,
Right,
looking for somebody to make sin. All right. To destroy. Right. He don't, when he devours you, that don't mean you sin and you fell down, because you can repent from that. When he devours you, that means he take you out of the truth. He make you go back into the world, right? He has you now. When a lion grab you, you can't get away from it.
uh-uh.
You ain't no getting away from that. You stuck, bro. You stuck, sis. All right. So that's what Satan was doing. He was looking for somebody to make go back into the world. Right. So let's go back to Job. Let's read on verse 7.
Verse 7, and the Lord said unto Satan, Whence comest thou? Then Satan answered the Lord and said, From going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it. And the Lord said unto Satan, Hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and upright man, one that feareth Yahweh and escheweth evil? Then Satan answered the Lord and said, Does Job fear God for naught?
Right.
Hast
So he
not
said,
thou
have you thought about tempting Job?
right?
That's what he asking him. Have you thought about tempting Job, Satan? He feared me. He escheweth evil. Job is perfect. You can't make him prove Job for me. That's what he's saying to the devil. Right? Satan, like, how do he fear you for nothing? Right? Read on.
Has not thou made a hedge about him and about his house and about all that he hath on every side? Thou hast blessed the work of his hands, and his substance is increased in the land. But put
Right.
forth
So
thy hand now.
so hold on. So he said, you put a hedge about him. A hedge is protection. It said you put a hedge about him and his house, meaning him and his wife and his children. Because Job was righteous, the Lord protected his whole household and everything that he had. All right, I want to show you something. We're going to come back. Let's look at that hedge. Let's go to Sirach, chapter 36 and verse 25. Watch this. That's what the Bible say. Sirach chapter 36 and verse 25.
Where no hedge is, there the possession is spoiled, and he that has no wife will wander up and down mourning.
Right? So what's the possession? Read verse 24.
Verse 24, he that getteth a wife begetteth a possession, a help like unto himself. and a pillar of rest.
So the possession is the wife, right? When a man gets a wife, that's his possession. She belongs to him. It say where there is no hedge, the possession is spoiled. The wife is spoiled. She's susceptible to the devil at that point, just like Eve was, right? At some point, her hedge was lowered. The devil was allowed to come onto Eve the same way he's going to do to Job's wife, right? So let's go back. It said, where there is no hedge, the possession is spoiled, right? Job, right? Verse 10 again.
Has not thou made an hedge about him, and about his house, and about all that he hath on every side? Thou hast blessed the work of his hands, and his substance is increased in the land. But put forth thine hand now, and touch all that he hath, and he will curse thee to thy face.
Now
And the
watch
Lord,
this. That's important. Now watch this now. He said, put forth thy hand now, and he will curse thee to thy face. I want you to remember those words. Those are the words of Satan. All right. Read verse 12. Remember what he said in verse 11.
And the Lord said unto Satan, Behold, all that he has is in thy power. Only upon himself put forth not thy hand. So Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord.
Now
And there was a day.
he said, whatever you want to do, Satan, it's in your hand. I'm allowing you to do what you want to do to Job. Just don't kill him. Right.
Right.
In other words. All right. So now let's jump over a little bit. All right. Let's read chapter 2. Let's read chapter 2 and verse number 4. Watch this. Let's read verse 3. Let's start there. Chapter 2 and verse 3.
And the Lord said unto Satan, Hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and an upright man, one that feareth God and escheweth evil? And still he holdeth fast his integrity, although thou movest me against him to destroy him without cause.
Now hold on. This is after he killed his sons, right? This is after a storm came and smote the four corners of his son's house and killed them. So God is saying, look, you still trying to bother Job? He done look, you done killed his sons. He still ain't did what you said he was gonna do. Right? Read on, verse 4.
Just doing your screen out some. Still can't quite see it. Okay. And Satan answered the Lord and said, Skin for skin, yea, all that a man hath will be given for his life.
Right? He say, if a man will save his life to do anything to save his life, right? Read on.
But put forth thine hand now and touch his bone and his flesh, and he will curse thee to thy face.
Right. So he say, put forth thy hand now and touch his bone and his flesh, his bone and his flesh, and he will curse thee to thy face. Oh, let's see what the devil is talking about, man. Watch this. His bone and his flesh. Let's go to Genesis. He said, put forth thy hand and touch his bone and his flesh. Genesis chapter 2.
Hey, that's mighty what you breaking out. You go, I see where you're going at. That woman.
Hey, all praises, man. Watch this. Read Genesis 2 and verse 22.
And the rib which the Lord Yahweh had taken from man, made he a woman and brought her unto the man.
Mm-hmm.
And Adam said, This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man.
Right. So let's go back to Job now. Now we know what the devil talking about. Let's read verse 5 again.
But put forth thine hand now and touch his bones and his flesh, and he will curse thee to thy face.
Now let's prove it. Keep reading. Verse 6.
And the Lord said unto Satan, Behold, he is in thine hand, but save his life.
Verse 7.
So went Satan forth from the presence of the Lord, and smote Job with sore boils from the sole of his foot unto his crown.
So he gave Job some boils on his body, right? But read, watch this.
And he took him a potsherd to scrape himself withal, and he sat down among the ashes.
Verse 10, verse 9.
Then said his wife unto him, Dost thou still remain thine integrity? Curse Yahweh and die.
She said, curse you. Do you still keep your integrity? His wife said this. Curse God and die. Hold on. That's the same thing. Let's go back to chapter 1 and let's read verse 11.
But put forth thine hand now and touch all that he had, and he will curse thee to thy face. That's crazy, man.
So she said the same thing the devil said. So that, you know what that means? The devil jumped on his wife.
The devil was on that woman, boy.
She was on that woman, man. And that's why he said, touch his bone of it, touch his wife. Turn his wife against him. That's what's going on here. You see that?
Curse you to your face.
And Job was a rich man. I bet his wife was bad. She probably wasn't no ugly woman, man. He had 10 kids. He kept going back for some reason. Job's wife was probably fine. And she said, you still maintaining your integrity? You done lost all of your wealth, right? Your children done died. She telling you to curse God. See that? So that's an example. His wife began to sorrow after the world, and she was trying to turn Job against God. Right? So we have to be careful. Sometimes the devil can jump on people that's close to us, and you have to have spiritual discernment to be able to recognize when that's happening. Right? Let's look at it. Let's look at another example. All right, let's go to let's look at Lot. Let's look at Lot wife.
Hey, praise Yahweh for that, man, because you just showed me something new this then, man. Hey, all praises.
That's of the Lord, man. That's of the Most High, man. All praises to the Most High, man. All right, the Lord reveal things in His Word, man. So let's go to Genesis 13, and let's read verse 3. Verse 3 through 10.
And he went on his journeys from the south even to Bethel, unto the place where his tent had been at the beginning, between Bethel and Hai.
So this is talking about Abram, right? Abram and Lot. Okay, they went on their journey, right? Read on.
Unto the place of the altar, which he made there at the first. And there Abram called on the name of the Lord. Excuse me. And Lot also, which went with Abram, had flocks and herds and tents. And the land was not able to bear them, that they might dwell together. For their substance was great, so that they could not dwell together. And there was a strife between the herdsmen of Abram's cattle and the herdmen of Lot's cattle. And the Canaanite and the Perizzite dwelt in the land. And Abram said unto Lot, Let there be no strife, I pray, between me and thee, and between my herdmen and thy herdmen, for we be brethren.
It's not. He said we ain't gonna fight over that because we brothers. So basically, what you got going on, Lot and Abraham, they rich men. All right, they both was rich. They had so much wealth that when we read this, we read like cows and cattle and you know animals. But when you look up how much a cow is worth, when you cut it up, it's worth a lot of money. They had thousands of cows. So these were wealthy men, so wealthy that they couldn't dwell together. Their wealth was overlapping each other. Right? Read on.
Is not the whole land before thee? Separate thyself, I pray thee, from me. If thou would take the left hand, then I will go to the right. Or if thou depart to the right hand, then will I go to the left. And Lot lifted up his eyes and beheld all the plain of Jordan, that it was well watered everywhere, before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, even as the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt, as thou come unto Zoar.
Right, so that's good. So it's letting us know that that's how Lot ended up in Sodom and Gomorrah. Before the Lord destroyed it, it said it was like the garden of the Lord, which is the
Mm-hmm.
Garden of Eden. Right? Sodom and Gomorrah was beautiful. Water. Now, if they try to go and find Sodom and Gomorrah, they can't figure out where it's at
Can't
because the
find it.
Lord wiped it off the face of the earth. Right? So just to give you the context of how Lot got in Sodom and Gomorrah. Now let's go to Genesis chapter 19. So Lot was a rich man. All right. He was a very rich man. He had to go to Sodom and Gomorrah. All right. Let's start reading that verse number 1.
And there came two angels to Sodom at even, and Lot sat in the gate of Sodom.
Mm-hmm.
And Lot, seeing them, rose up to meet them, and he bowed himself with his face toward the ground.
So
And he
Lot was
said,
sitting at the gate and he seen the angels of the Lord come to Sodom and Gomorrah. Right. Let's jump to verse 12.
and the men said unto Lot, hast thou here any besides son-in-law, and thy sons, and thy daughters, and whosoever thou hast in the city, bring them out of this place.
Why? Because they finna destroy this place. Right. Read on.
For we will destroy this place, because the cry of them is waxing great before the face of the Lord, and the Lord
Mm-hmm.
has sent us to destroy it.
Mm-hmm. Read on.
And Lot went out and spake unto his sons in law, which married his daughters, and said, up, get you out of this place, for the Lord will destroy this city. But he seemed as one that mocked unto his son in law.
So he went to warn his
Mm,
son-in-law, look, the Lord finna destroy this place, right? But they looked at him like he was making a joke. They didn't take him serious. All right. It
mm-hmm,
was much evil going on in Sodom and Gomorrah, right? Some of the people that was there supported the evil that was there, like his son-in-laws. That's why they didn't want to leave. Right? Read
mm-hmm.
on.
And when the morning arose, then the angels hastened Lot, saying, arise, take thy wife and thy two daughters which are here, lest thou be consumed in the iniquity of the city.
Mm-hmm.
And while he lingered, the man laid hold upon his hand, and upon the hand of his wife, and upon the hand of his two daughters, and the Lord being merciful unto him, and they brought him forth and set him without the city.
Right? So he was taking too much time. The angels
Mm-hmm.
grabbed him up and his wife and his daughter and just brought them to the edge of the city, without the city, in an instant, quickly. All right, you're dealing with some power right here, right? Read on.
And it came to pass, when they had brought them forth abroad, that he said, escape for thy life. Look not behind thee, neither stay thou in all the plain. Escape to
Mm-hmm.
the mountain, lest thou be consumed.
Mm-hmm.
And Lot said unto them, oh, not so, my Lord. Behold, now thy servant hath found grace in thy sight, and thou hast magnified thy mercy, which thou hast showed unto me in saving my life. And I cannot escape to the mountain, lest some evil take me and I die.
He said, I don't want
Behold,
to go to the mountains because something evil might come over me and I might die in the mountain. Right? Don't make me go to the mountains. That's what Lot is saying, right? Read on.
behold now, this city is near to flee unto, and it is a little one. Oh, let me escape thither. It is not a little one, and my soul, is it not a little one, and my soul shall live.
He was like, let me go over here to this city over here. It's closer. It's a little city, right? Read on.
And he said unto me, and he said unto him, see, I have accepted thee concerning this thing also, that I will not overthrow this city, for the which thou hast spoken.
So that's
Haste thee.
heavy. A whole city got
Mm,
spared because
because of
Lot
one.
wanted to go over
Come
there.
on, man. Right.
Man, you gotta understand.
Hey, he
The
did the
whole
same thing with Job. He's the whole Job house was protected because of Job.
exactly. That's that hedge. You see that? The power of a righteous person, right? The Lord will spare a whole city. Ain't no
Mm,
telling what kind of evil the Most High might bring on Valdosta, Georgia, if it weren't certain brothers and sisters here, right? If whatever city that you listening to from this call, if you trying to keep the commandments, the Lord might be sparing your whole city from destruction because
con.
you there. You understand that? That's heavy, man. Read on.
Come. Then the Lord, we on verse 24.
Yes, sir.
Verse 23, the sun was risen upon the earth when Lot entered into Zoar. Verse
Mm-hmm.
24, then the Lord rained upon Sodom and upon Gomorrah brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven.
Mm.
And he overthrew those cities and all the plain and all the inhabitants of the cities and that which grew upon the ground.
He destroyed it, right? Read verse 26.
But his wife looked back from behind him, and she became a pillar of salt.
So his wife did the opposite of what the angels instructed them to do. They said, get out of the city and don't look back. You got to understand, Lot was rich. His family was well off. When they left the city, they left all their wealth behind. They lost all that. All that was destroyed. They didn't have, they said they was lingering around. The angels picked them up and took them outside the city. They didn't have time to get their stuff. They didn't have time for that. But his
That,
wife looked back. Right? Go ahead.
right. Do you see what's happening, King? While the Lord dealing with Lot and while he was dealing with Job, it was their wives that was rebellious.
Mm. It was their
I just
wives,
wanted to
man.
point that out.
All right.
There's
So
no
not
shade to the
saying
sisters,
right.
but
Ain't no shade to
that's just a
the
fact.
yeah. The devil wanna because y'all the Bible say what? The woman is the weaker vessel. Right? It's saying that because it's easier to get to the man through the woman. It's
Right.
easier to get to the man. So, sisters, this is a lesson. It's not the like the brother said, it's not to come down on the sisters. This is so that the like what did Manasseh do? It said he was ready to bow the knee of his mind. You have to subjugate your mind to what this Bible is saying and realize that you are the weaker vessel. Therefore, be more willing to be submissive to if you got a husband, to your husband. If you don't have a husband, be submissive to the leaders that the Most High put in your life to teach you this Bible. Why? Because your thoughts are more likely to get you in trouble than our thoughts as men because
Hmm.
y'all are the weaker y'all are automatically gonna feel and be more emotional about things than men are. That's just
Right.
how God created you. It's like like if you take a videotape, some of y'all might be too young to know what videotapes is. But if you take a videotape or a cassette tape and try to transfer that movie or that music from a tape to a CD, you're gonna lose some of the quality on the way from in the transferring of the music or the movie. It's the same thing with Eve. When she was taken from Adam, she didn't come out quite like Adam did. You see that? She came out a little bit less. Why? So that she could have a reason to have a submissive spirit, right? So the devil works like that. He's gonna try to come through the women and get to the man like that. If he can't get the man, he'll be happy with just getting the women. Because if he get the women, more than likely he can get the who? The children. And that's
Right.
the next generation,
Hey, and that's what the
right?
white man do, bro. He go for the
Mhm.
woman to destroy the children.
Right. Exactly. When you see like when you see these men wearing skirts and dressing up and coming out being women, it's the women that's on these posts saying, "Oh yeah, do it, bro. Do I know that's right. You better wear that." It's a lot of women that's on these posts commenting and saying that type of stuff. That ain't men. We think that's disgusting. But a lot of women in the world is encouraging that type of behavior in the men. So
That's right.
they work through the women. Y'all gotta know that,
That's
right?
right.
And that's gonna make the tricks don't work if you know what the tricks are and you know what the law say. It
Right.
won't work. You understand? So it say his wife looked back, right? I want to examine that. Let's go to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 10 and verse number 6. It's gonna give us some more insight on that. Wisdom of Solomon is in the Apocrypha, right? Wisdom of Solomon was written by the King Solomon. All right, Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 10. We're gonna read 6 through 8.
Verse 6. When the ungodly perished, she delivered the righteous man, who fled from the fire which fell down upon the five cities. Of those
So
wickedness,
Sodom and Gomorrah, it wasn't just those two cities that got destroyed, it was five cities. All right, so let's read on.
of whose wickedness even to this day the wasteland that smoketh is a testimony, and the plants bearing fruit that never come to ripeness, and the standing pillar of salt is a monument of an unbelieving soul.
What's Lot's wife?
A pillar of salt is a monument of an unbelieving soul.
His wife didn't believe. That's why she looked back. All right. You're going to look, and that's symbolic of you looking back at the world. All right. Looking back and being sorrowful of the world. The only
Mm,
reason she looked back is because she didn't believe. The
mm,
only reason you going to look back is because you don't believe. You're going to want to
mm.
go back and celebrate that Christmas. Go back and celebrate that Easter, your birthday. Do them. You see all your old friends getting together, having fun, posting pictures on Facebook. You're going to want to go and do it because you don't believe, right? Read on.
Sorrowing after the world.
Sorrowing after the world.
Verse 10.
Verse 8.
No, verse 8. For regarding not wisdom, they got not only this hurt, that they knew not the things which were good, but also left behind them the world of a memorial of their foolishness, so that in
Mm-hmm.
the things wherein they offended, they could not so much as be hid.
So you can't hide your unbelief, the Bible is telling you. If you don't believe, sooner or later it's going to come out. It's
Damn.
going to come out, man. You can't hide it, right? Watch this. Go to 2 Peter chapter 2 and verse 6. Right? 6 through 10.
Mm. And turning the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah into ashes, condemned them with an overthrow, making them an example unto those that should live ungodly, that should
Mm-hmm.
after should live ungodly,
Mm-hmm.
and delivered just Lot, vexed with the filthy conversation of the wicked. Mm.
So Lot was vexed
Vexed
with the
with it, right?
filthy conversation of the wicked. That's how we have to be. If you're not vexed about this world, then more than likely you still want to be in the world. If you're not looking at things that the world is doing and it make you upset, it upsets
Mm-hmm.
your spirit, more than likely you're sorrowing after the world and you're probably still in the world, right? Read on. So that's supposed to be our example, it said, right? In verse 6. Read verse 8.
For that righteous man dwelling among them and seeing and hearing, vexed in his righteous soul from day to day with their unlawful deeds.
He was vexed from day to day with their unlawful deeds. You know,
Mm.
man, we get vexed in this world, man. We gotta
Say
go
that.
trying to go to do something as simple as going to the store. And I went to Family Dollar General a little bit before this class, man, just to get me some beef jerky. And on my way in, it's two women walking out the store in literally in their underwear. Why? Why? That's
Mm-hmm.
vexing. But it could have
Mm-hmm.
been the opposite. I could have been that type of brother that looked at it and lusted after it, right? That would mean that I was sorrowing after the world. Some brothers still battling with that. They still looking at these women that's dressed in modest and they lusting after it rather than it vexing them and making you mad. So you got to be on that side of the equation like Lot. Be vexed from day to day, right? It
Hey,
may
King,
seem like, go ahead, go ahead.
go ahead. That just remind me of when I'm at work, man, because we allowed to play the radios while we work, man. Every song that come on the radio, man, it just vexes me. I just hate being there and hate listening to the radio. It get to a point where I hate going to work, man.
Con. It's the same way at my job. I have to have my headphones. I have to have noise canceling headphones on the entire time I'm at work. Because why? They playing the radio. And the radio talking about unseemly things, wicked it's promoting wickedness, man.
Right,
So
and
it
they
might
carrying on the same conversations, right? And they trying to drag
right.
you into them conversations. It's just vexing, bro. I
Con,
definitely feel them on that.
con. Yeah, it's vexing, man, and it might. And when you first learning about the what this Bible say, man, it might that stuff might seem normal to you still now. You know, it might not. You might not be to that point, but it might seem like, man, them brothers just complaining about
Right,
everything.
like
You
you're
gotta
doing too
live life,
much.
but that you will see what we mean. You just keep growing in this truth, man, and you will see what we talking about. You're gonna become vexed with this world, and that's a sign of growth, of maturity. All right, so you can't be looking back at the world, right? So from there, um, let's read verse 9.
Mm-hmm. The Lord knoweth how to deliver the godly out of temptations, and to reserve the unjust unto the day of judgment to be punished.
To reserve the unjust to the
Mm.
day of punishment.
Hey,
So it
guess what
might
that
look
mean?
like
They
what
not
that
getting away with it, huh?
they ain't getting away with it. It
Mm.
looked like they in the world living it up, right? It looked like you missing all the good times, all the memories being made without you. You ain't on none of the vacations. You just letting your life pass by. That's what it may look like to you. But
Mm.
those people are gonna get judged. You just wait. Just watch and see. Right? Read verse 10.
But chiefly them that walk after the flesh in the lust of uncleanness and despise government. Presumptuous are they, self-willed. They are not afraid to speak evil of dignities.
Uh-huh. So they don't like order, basically. That's why they in the world. We try to compel them to come into the truth, right? And to compel them to keep the commandments of God, but that requires discipline. A lot of brothers and sisters in Israel hate discipline. We stiff-necked, like the Bible say. So we don't like discipline, right? So don't look at the world, y'all. That's gonna get you killed. Watch this. Go to Luke chapter 9 and verse 62. Can't look back, brothers and sisters, sorrowing after the world. Watch what the king said.
And Yahushua said unto him, no man, having put in his hand to the plow and looking back, is fit for the kingdom of Yahweh.
Right. So when you put your hand to the plow, that's you picking up this Bible and saying, I'm ready to change.
Mm.
I'm not going to live my life the way I was living it. I'm ready to be a new creature, right? It say, I'm ready to teach my people, right? You go and start learning this truth. You learn you an Israelite. You go to trying to tell everybody, hey man, we God's chosen people. We the chosen people of God, right? He chose us above all the other. You go to speaking that way a lot of times when you first come in, you excited. But if you do that, that's you putting your hand to the plow. You doing the work now. If you start looking back at the world, it say you're not fit for the kingdom because you want that more than you want what God has for you, right? You can't be
Hey,
that way in this thing, man. Go ahead, bro.
and you notice this, right? It says, no man having put his hand to the plow and looking back is fit for the kingdom of Yahweh, right? So while this person or this individual is looking back, their hand is still on the plow. So it just is
Mm,
as much as a thought, right? You
right.
know, as soon as your
Con.
mind start to get the devil can move in and just take you on out of this thing, man. So it just is something dangerous as a thought of going back.
That's a spirit, man. That's the you made me think of something. Let's go to James. Because it say what you saying. James chapter 1 and verse 12. Let's read there.
Blessed is the man that endureth temptation, for when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life, which the Lord has promised to them that love him.
So all of us gotta go through temptation to get the crown of life, right? Read on.
Mhm. Let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of Yahweh. For Yahweh cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempted he any man. But
Nah, he
every
allowed the
man,
devil to do that, right? Read on.
right? But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and
We know
enticed.
when you got a lust inside of you, that's what tempts you and draws you away and entices you. It's a sin that you still love, right? That's what verse 14 is talking about. Read on.
Then, when lust has conceived, it bringeth forth sin.
Once you
Oh,
think about that thing
that's right.
long enough, just like you
Mm-hmm.
just said, it start with a
Mm-hmm.
thought. You still
Mm-hmm.
doing the work. You still going to camp. You still got
Mm-hmm.
your fringes on. You still wearing your skirts and your head wraps. It start with a thought. You start thinking about that thing in the world that you want to do, that you still wish that you could do. Right? It say when the lust have conceived, when the thought has been planted in your mind and you
Mm-hmm.
thinking about it, then it
It,
bringeth forth sin. Now you're gonna do the action. That's what's gonna come next. It say, and sin, when it is finished, bringeth forth death. Now you dead.
mm,
Why? Because the Lord may give you a reprobate mind. You
that's
you
right.
can't you
Can't
can't get over
repent.
you can't repent now. Now you just out there. That's why you see many. This truth is a revolving door. That's the last thing you want is the Most High to give you over to your lust and give you over to a reprobate mind. And now you just out there. You went back in the world. Can't nobody get through to you. No matter what scripture we read, you can't see it. Right? That's what happened to Judas.
Mm,
Judas Iscariot walked with Yahweh Shai. He got count. It say have one counselor of 1,000. He was his counselor.
mm,
He got counsel straight from Yahweh Shai, the king. But
mm.
that wasn't enough. He wanted the world. You understand that? Let's go to Jude. Let's go to the book of Jude. Watch this, man. Jude, it's only one chapter. Let's read verse 5.
Jude chapter 5. I will therefore put you in remembrance, though you once knew this, how that the Lord, having saved the people out of the land of Egypt, afterward destroyed them that believed not.
Right? So Yahweh saved, he saved the people out of Egypt. That's what the Exodus is. He saved them out of Egypt. He showed them all kind of miracles to prove that he was God. And
Man,
afterwards, he destroyed them that believed not.
bro,
Right? Let's look at
bro.
that.
Yahweh ain't nothing to play with, man. He brought them out of bondage and killed them in the wilderness.
Brought them out of bondage and killed them
Man,
because they didn't believe. Watch what they
man.
were saying. Let's read Numbers chapter 11, verse 1 through 6. Watch what our people did.
Starting at verse 1.
Yes, sir.
And when the people complained, it displeased the Lord. And the Lord heard it, and his anger was kindled. And the fire of the Lord burnt among them, and consumed them that were in the utmost parts of the camp.
They
And the
may
people
made the Most High so mad that he burnt people up
mm,
in the camp because they was complaining. Right? Right. Read on.
and the people cried unto Moses. And when Moses prayed unto the Lord, the fire was quenched.
Mm-hmm.
And he called the name of that place Taberah, because the fire of the Lord burnt among them.
Mm-hmm. Read on.
And the mixed multitude that was among them fell a lusting, and the children of Israel also wept again, and said,
So they so it said now this is after he just burnt up some complaining Israelites. And
still
Moses
complaining.
prayed and got the Lord to stop. And then it said they complained again. They wept again. Right? It said they wept again and said, who shall give us flesh to eat? Right? Read on, man.
We remember the fish which we did eat in Egypt freely, the cucumbers and the melons, the leeks and the onions and the garlic. But now our soul is dried away. There is nothing at all besides this manna before our eyes.
They
Man,
say all we got is this manna, man.
bro.
We miss Egypt. We miss slavery. We miss being in the world.
Ah,
We
bread,
sorrow after the world.
the manna was bread from heaven, man. And you see how little regard they had for the bread that came from on high. It's the same way how they hold the Most High Yahweh Shai in regard, man. It's the same thing.
It's the same thing. We gonna read it. You on point. You in the spirit, man. Let's go read it. It say all we got is this manna. Let's see what they really complaining about. Let's go to John.
Keeping the commandment.
John chapter 6. Uh let's see. They say all we got is this manna. John chapter 6 and verse 35. Watch this.
Mm-hmm. And Yahweh Shai said unto them, I am the bread of life. He
Hold on.
that cometh to me,
Start at verse 32.
verse
Salaki.
32. Then Yahweh Shai said unto them, Verily, verily, I say unto you, Moses gave you not that bread from heaven, but my Father giveth you the true bread from heaven.
Right? Moses didn't give you the bread. God did. Right? Read.
For the bread of Yahweh is he which cometh down from heaven and giveth life unto the world.
He making a comparison. He letting them know the manna represented something greater, right? Read on.
Then said they unto him, Lord, evermore give us this bread.
Give us this bread.
And Yahweh Shah said unto them, I am the bread of life. He
He
that
said,
cometh to
I'm the
me,
bread. I'm the bread. The
come on,
bread
man.
represents me. Right? Read on.
He that cometh to me shall never hunger,
Mm-hmm.
and he that believeth on me shall never thirst.
He's saying, look, if you make me the center of your life, you will really be content. That's what he's telling them, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's the same thing today. We got the bread of life. We know the truth of this Bible, but in this truth, people can start complaining. This ain't good enough, man. We got
Mm,
is the Sabbath. What
mm.
about all the other holiday? Everybody else look like they having a way better time than us.
Bro,
Yeah, we
get what
got
they.
the. Go ahead.
I tell some people you can't eat pork, right? Or shrimp, crab, and lobster. They like, well, what else we supposed to eat? Like, bro, it's so many other clean meats that you can eat. They
Mm-hmm.
just love that was they just love Babylon, man.
Yeah, that's what it boils. You don't believe. Just like Lot's wife. When you start looking back, that means you don't believe. Because what we got ain't good enough for you. You want to
Mm-hmm.
go back in the world. How you think you're gonna make it through Jacob's trouble if you can't make it through what we doing now? Right?
Mm.
You might say, well, we ain't having as much fun as we was having in the world. Well, this truth is what you make it. You make it great like that. Communicate with your brothers and your sisters.
Right.
Plan days to get together. It's what you make it. Right? I'm
Mm.
only one person. Eliezer only one person. Other brothers and other sisters can put their hand to the plow and come with ideas on how we can have more fun. It's up to us to make
Yeah,
it what it's gonna be.
that's true. Cause I think it's a precept that say, he that forgetteth a friend, right, must first show himself friendly, right? So that's right.
Kind. Yeah, you gotta, it's what you make it. Reach out to brothers, reach out to sisters, check up on people, right? I mean, it's what you make it. It's up to you. And that way you won't you give yourself less reasons to complain, right? But ultimately, if you don't believe, it's gonna be revealed, right? Watch this. Let's stay in John. Let's go to chapter 15.
And with that, I really think like if you believe you're gonna have a zeal, it won't be no dull moment in the truth. Like, of course we're gonna go through things, but when you
Hmm.
understand the reason why, it'll never be a dull moment in the truth.
It won't. It won't because man, it's what you make it. It's
It
you
is.
get in, you get out what you put in. All right. So let's read John chapter 15 and verse 18. Let's
If the
read on
world
a little
hate
bit.
you, if the world hate you, ye know that it hated me before it hated you.
All right. The world gonna hate you when you come into this truth. When you start keeping the commandments, when you start being holy, when you start living a set apart lifestyle, the world is going to hate you. Right? Read on.
If ye were of the world would if ye were of the world would love his own. But because ye are not of the world, but I have chosen you out of the world, therefore the world hateth you.
Right? You're not going to be a part of the multitude, the crowd, the what's going on. You're going to be left out a lot of times, all the time. If you in this truth, if you keeping the commandments. Yeah, Yahweh Shai wasn't it say he was a man of sorrows. He was a sad, let's get it. Hold on, let's go to Isaiah.
A man of sorrows.
Everything they
That's a
think
fact.
they think Yahweh Shai was just walking around happy all the time.
The world hated
Right?
him, man. They were calling the man lame. I know that he would consider what the day world would be a lame. They hated him,
Uh-huh.
man.
We're gonna come back to John. Let's go to Isaiah real quick. Let's look at how Yahweh Shai life was. Isaiah chapter 53. All right, watch this. Verse 3. Let's start there. This is a
He
prophecy about him and his life. Right?
bring it
Read
out
on.
loud. He is despised and rejected of men, a man of sorrows,
Nah, he
and
was happy
acquainted
all the
with
time.
grief. Mm,
He was happy all the time, bro. He
mm-mm.
the son of God.
He is despised and rejected of men, a man of sorrows, and acquainted with grief.
He was sad. Yahweh Shai spent his time sad most of the time. rejected of men. He was
Right.
left out. He wasn't
Mm-hmm.
getting invited. You understand? So that's why he's speaking the way that he's speaking. He was sad all the time.
Fact.
He was despised, and we esteemed him not. Nobody tried to make him feel better. All right. They just looked at, man, he be sad all the time, man. Nobody want to hang around him. They just wanted something from him. They only called him when they needed something. I need you to heal. Oh, you healing people? Man, let me touch your hem and your garment. I ain't know you was healing folks like that. That's the same way they gonna do you, and it's true. They only gonna pick up the phone when they need something from you. The same way they did Yahweh Shai. Right? Let's
Man,
go back to
and he's so
John.
powerful, man. Them same people, he still laid his life down for. And I'm
He
sure some of
still
them
laid
had
it.
repented.
Bring it out, man. That's real. He still laid his life down for him.
That's
Right?
that
That's
humility
heavy,
you were
man.
bringing out, man.
That's that humility, man. Right? And he didn't and he was perfect. Man, I'll tell you, man. Let's go back to John. Chapter what was that? John 15 and
Yeah, verse 21.
yeah, let's read that.
Verse 20, actually.
Okay, yeah.
Remember the word that I said unto you, the servant is not greater than his Lord. If they have persecuted me, they will also persecute you. If they have
Mhm.
kept my sayings, they will keep yours also. But all these things will they do unto you for my name's sake,
They
because they
gonna
have
hate
not.
you. They gonna hate you for Yahweh Shai name's sake. Right?
Mm,
Because he got hated. So you gonna be hated. You gonna be left out. He letting you know ahead of time so you're not caught off guard. Especially for the
mhm.
brothers and sisters. This may be your first time coming to this class. You may be new in the truth, right? Just know you need to expect this. Your family, a lot of them gonna cut you off. Your brother, your sister, your wife, your husband. Some of them gonna cut you off, man, because you keeping the commandments. Right? That's what he's telling us, right? Read 22, Salaki.
If I had not come and spoken unto them, they had not had sin. But now they have no cloak for their sin.
It's man, that's heavy. It
Right.
say if
No
I had
excuse.
not, it say if I had not come and spoken unto them, that had they had not had sin. He wouldn't have came if we went in sin, basically.
Mm,
Right?
mm,
He
mm,
said, but now they have no cloak for their sins. Now they can't hide their sins no more.
mm, mm,
That's the same way it is with you in this truth. Because you decided to change, now their sins are apparent. You just cut the lights on. Now they realize what you mean. Dang, they don't celebrate Christmas no more. So that's wrong. They don't eat pork no more. So that's wrong. So women ain't supposed to wear pants. That's wrong. They showing me all kind of sins. I can't. Nah, they ain't invited. I don't want to call her. All she talk about is that Bible. Nah, they stand away from you because now they have no cloak for their sin. You see that? The same way with Yahweh Shai. Read on. Verse 23.
Verse 23. He that hated me hated my father also. If I had
Uh-huh.
not,
It say if you hate Yahweh Shai, you hate God. You hate
that's a fact.
Yahweh. It's same way if they hate us, they hate the king. They hate
That's a
Yahweh
fact.
Shai. And they hate God. Because we ain't trying to do nothing. We ain't trying to hurt nobody. We just trying to do what the Bible say. But if they hate you, that mean they hate God. They hate the Bible because they don't want to hear it. Right? Read on.
If I had not done among them the works which none other man did, they had not sinned. They had not had sin. But now have they both seen and both hated me. Let me read that again. But now have they both seen and hated both me and my father. But
So
this
they
coming to
know they ain't
pass.
got no excuse. That's like you're a living example of what it looks like to serve God, brothers and sisters. So that's why they hate you because they would have rathered you not changed. They would have rathered you stayed the same like they was, like the world. Because then you wouldn't be shining a light on everything that it is
That's
that
right.
they're doing wrong.
That's right.
That's why they hate you. They mad at you now. Right? Read on. Verse
Salaki King.
25.
Verse
You good.
25. But this cometh to pass that the word might be fulfilled that is written in their law. They hated me without cause.
They hated me without a cause. You ain't doing nothing wrong, but they hate you without a cause. Understand that it's gonna happen. If you knew in this truth, that's gonna happen. They gonna hate you for no reason. All right, it's a miracle to find another brother or sister that's in your vicinity that's wanting to keep these commandments. That's why we gotta stick together. Right? Watch this. Go to Zechariah. Zechariah chapter 2, Zephaniah. Oh, is it Zephaniah I want? Yeah, Zephaniah chapter 2 and verse 1. Watch this. This is why we got to do this, man. Right? Zephaniah 2 and 1 and verse 2.
Yeah. Gather yourselves together. Yeah, gather together. O nation not desired.
Oh, nation
Before
not desired, because they
hmm
hate you without a cause. So we got to what? Gather together. We supposed to gather on the Sabbath. That's a holy convocation. Right? Right now we've been doing it just amongst our own individual families, but we supposed to come together as a large assembly on the
hmm
Sabbath. Right? That's something we need to start doing as the days grow nigh. As we get closer and closer and deeper into the end, we supposed to gather together, right? Read on.
hmm Before the decree bring forth, before
Mm-hmm.
the day pass as the shaft, before the fierce anger of the Lord come upon you, before the day of the Lord of hosts, before the day of the Lord's anger come upon you.
Before the end, more and more we need to be gathering together because it's gonna build up your faith to talk to somebody that's in this truth like you are. It's
That's
gonna
true.
build your faith. If you keep hanging in the world with the worldly folks, that's only gonna entice you. That's only gonna make you want to do what they doing. Right? Watch this. Let's go to Second Maccabees in the Apocrypha. Right? Second Maccabees chapter 4 and verse 15. This is what you was bringing out earlier.
Verse 13,
Verse 15 and 16.
verse 15. Oh, the Grecians. Not setting by the honors of their fathers, but liking the glory of the Grecians best of all.
Right? So when we was in Greek captivity, we stopped we stopped looking and doing and wanting to keep the commandments. That's the glory and honor of our fathers. But we wanted to be like the Greeks, like the white man. Right? Read on.
By reason whereof sore calamity came upon them. For they had them to be their enemies and avengers, whose customs they followed so earnestly, and unto
Mm-hmm.
whom they desired to be like in all things.
It
Mm,
say whose
Bible
customs we
real, man.
follow so earnestly. You
Mm,
keep that Christmas so earnestly every
mm.
year. December 25th never fails. You keep that birthday earnestly every year, the same day. Halloween, Thanksgiving to a T. You make sure you got that turkey and that cranberry sauce. Earnestly
Mm.
liking that more than you like your own heritage, which is to keep the Feast of Tabernacles, Day of Atonement, which is what's coming up, right? Feast of Memorial of Blowing
Mm,
Trumpets, which is coming
mm.
up, right? The new moons, Feast of Dedication, Passover. That's our heritage.
That's
But we
right.
don't like that. We tired of that, right? The Sabbath, we sick of that. We don't want to do that. That's boring. Everybody else look like they having way more fun than us. That's what happened, right? It say because of that attitude, it say it say by reason whereof sore calamities came upon them. Right? Read verse 17.
For it is not a light thing to do wickedly against the laws of Yahweh.
It's not a
But,
light thing.
mm-mm. But the time following shall declare these things.
And when you read the rest of this, it lets you know why it ain't a light thing, what resulted of them liking the glory of the Grecians, wanting to be like the other nations. Right? So let's go from there. Let's go to Sirach. Sirach chapter 9
Mm.
and verse 11. 11 and 12. Watch this.
Envy not the glory of a sinner, for
Envy
thou
not the
knowest.
glory of a sinner. Don't look at a sinner and want to do what they doing, right? Why? Read on.
For thou knowest not what shall be his end.
You don't know what that person life really like. You just see them smoking the weed with their music loud. You just see her with some guy and she got on booty shorts and she looked like she having a good time. She got on a Gucci bag. It just looked like that. You don't know what
Mhm.
disease she got that she can't get rid of.
Right.
You think you wanna have sex with her, but you don't know what she got going on, bro. You don't know what he got going on, sis. It just looked like that, right? Read on.
Delight not in the thing that the ungodly have pleasure in.
The
But
light,
remember,
that means the ungodly have pleasure in sin. So it say delight not in a thing that the ungodly have pleasure in. If you delight not in it, that means you hate sin.
mhm,
You supposed to hate sin. That's the fear of the Lord. So you have to subjugate your mind to God in order to have that
that's
kind
right.
of spirit on you. You gotta pray for that.
That's
You
right. You
understand?
gotta ask for that
You
thing.
gotta ask for that, man. You gotta ask for that. You gotta pray to the Lord to give you that type of spirit. Lord, I want to hate sin, and a lot comes with that. A lot. I'm just let you know. It ain't just he put the spirit on you to hate sin. No, he gonna present you. He gonna present sin to you. He gonna allow the devil to put sin in your face,
Say
and
that.
now you gotta choose him over
Right.
sin.
That's right.
That's what this whole grace period that we got is about. Understand? Watch the Bible gonna say it. Let's go to Titus, Titus chapter 2 and verse 11. Right? Read that.
For the grace of Yahweh that bringeth salvation had appeared to all men,
We living in
teaching
a grace
us,
period. We living in a grace period right now, right? And what's it for? Read that.
teaching us that denying ungodliness and worldly lust, we should live soberly, righteously, and godly in this present world.
In order to deny ungodliness, you have to hate sin. If you don't hate it, you're not gonna deny it. You're gonna receive it. When that you when you unless you hate fornication, when the right person who looked the right way to you approaches you and offers you their their time, you're gonna accept it. You're gonna take their number. You're gonna go on that date. You're gonna you're gonna respond to that DM. You're gonna commit that sin. That's the only way you can deny. So this period that we got right now, this grace period, which is the time we living in now until the time Yahweh shall come back, or until you die, that's your grace period. That's supposed to teach you to hate sin. That's what this
Hey,
whole point in time we living in is for. Go
right.
ahead, bro.
Get Matthew chapter 6 and verse 24. Because what you bringing out ain't nothing but the truth, bro. You got to
Con,
love one or hate the other one. There ain't no in between.
con. Yeah, you in the spirit. Yeah. Matthew
Well,
6 and
hey,
24.
bring it on
Watch
out.
this.
Well, I'll read it for you.
Nah, I got you. Expound on it. It say no man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and mammon.
Right. And that's what it means, like what we just read. It's impossible for you to have your hand to the plow and look back and still serve the most high. You gotta love one or hate the other. There's no in between. And he told us that we can't be lukewarm, right? In Revelation. So the
Con,
Bible clear about being on fire cold with him. It's either you gonna keep his commandments or you're not.
con. That's plain, man. That's not
Plain.
a parable. That's plain. You either gonna love God or you gonna because when you saw with that, what's gonna happen if you sorrowing after the world, you're inevitably gonna develop a hatred for God. That's what Matthew 6 and 24 is saying. If you sorrowing after the world, you're gonna start to hate
Mm,
God because you're
mm.
gonna be resentful of the fun that you're not having,
Say that.
of all the get-togethers you missing out on, of the old life you used to live. You're gonna hate God. That's what's gonna happen, man. Right? Watch this, man. We almost done. All right, let's go to First John chapter 2 in verse 15.
Hey, you know what a precept at when they was like, oh, I can't wait till the Sabbath day over with so that they can go back to doing what they were
Uh,
doing.
it's in Haggai, I believe. Hold on, let me
Okay,
see.
you ain't got to pull it. You ain't got to bring it out.
Yeah, but that's a good one though. Hold on, we're gonna get it. That's a good one. Cause that's relevant to what we talking about. Let me look in my Bible real quick. I believe it's in Haggai. I'm pretty
Right, cause
sure.
what you were just saying, you're gonna eventually develop a hatred towards the laws of the Most High if you got your eyes on the world, like what you about to bring out. These men were keeping the Sabbath, but they wanted it to hurry up and be over so they could make them some money.
Hold
If you
on.
can't find it, don't worry about it.
Dang, I know what you're talking about. Wow.
Yeah, cause I can't find it.
I'm pretty sure it's in Haggai, man. I can't find it. Dang, I can't find it. But that's a good one. We might do a class on that script because there's a lot that go into that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. But let's read that. We almost done. Let's read verse 1 John 2 and 15.
Verse 15, love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him.
See that? If you love the world and you hate God,
Right.
you hate God. It say, love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. All right, everything in this world is vanity. Watch this. Read on, verse 16.
For all that is in the world, the lust of flesh and the lust of the eyes and the pride of life is not of the Father, but is of the world. And the
Everything
world,
that the world promotes is not of God. Taking
mm,
all these selfies, all these vacations. The Lord set aside time for us to do all that when He says time to do it. Right? Feast of Tabernacles is like a vacation every single year, depending on how you do it. Just like it
mm-hmm.
says, what you put in. What you put in is what you get out. He give you time to rejoice and come together and travel and do all that. It's what you put into it, right? It say that all that's in the world is the pride of life is not of the Father, but is of the world, right? Verse 17.
And the world passes away, and the lust thereof. But he that doeth the will of Yahweh abideth forever.
The world is passing away, y'all. This ain't gonna be here that much longer. Everything that
Mm-mm.
you crying over, that's gonna be burnt up in a little while.
Yes,
Just
sir.
wait. It's gonna be burnt up, right? Watch this. Last precept. Let's go to Psalms. Psalms chapter 37. So don't sorrow after the world. When you stop doing that, this was gonna happen, man. Watch this. Psalms 37. Let's start at verse 1.
Verse 1, fret not thyself because of evildoers, neither be thou envious against the workers of iniquity.
Don't
For they
fret
soon
over the evil. Don't be envious over the workers of iniquity, right? Read on.
for they soon shall be cut down like the grass, and wither as the green herb.
Mm-hmm.
Trust in the Lord and do good, so shalt thou dwell in the land, and verily shalt thou be fed.
It's a trust in the Lord so that you and do good so that thou shalt dwell in the land. What land? Our land, the
That's
land
right.
of Israel. You gonna get the kingdom if you trust in the Lord. The evildoers and what they doing in this world, that's gonna be over in a little while. Just a little while longer, right? Read on.
Delight thyself also in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desires of thine heart.
Now that's heavy. That's heavy. We used to read that in the church, man. And pastor used to like to read that. He
Bro,
say, "Delight thyself in the Lord, and He shall give thee the desires of that heart." They teach you that means you're
come
gonna
on,
get that car,
that's
that
right,
house, that
man.
job. Yeah, but that ain't it. If you delight yourself in the Lord, you know what the desires of your heart gonna be
To keep the commandment.
to keep the commandments.
You gonna
That's
like
gonna
we
be the
just said, you gonna ask to hate sin. Those are the things that you're gonna start to ask for, and he gonna give it to you. Because remember, I think it's in Matthew, and he was like, "Whatever you ask in my name, the Father give it to you." Ain't nobody with this understanding gonna be asking to hit the damn lottery or for a car. They're gonna be
Con,
asking to hate sin.
con. You hit it right on the head, man. If you delight yourself in the Lord, you're gonna be asking the Lord to help you to hate evil. That's all you gonna want to do. That's all you gonna want. Everything in the world, everything else is not gonna matter to you. Once you start to mature to that point, that takes maturity and that takes prayer. It takes fasting, right? Read on, man. Delight thyself in the also in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desires of thy heart. Right? Read
Com-
on.
Commit thy way unto the Lord. Trust also in Him, and He shall bring it to pass.
He gonna bring it to pass if you
Watch this.
trust him.
And He shall bring forth thy righteousness as the light, and judgment as the noonday. Come on, man.
He,
He just
you
told you
gonna
what He gonna give it to you, bro.
he
Ask
told
for
you
the
what
right,
he gonna
man.
he just told you what he gonna give you. You
Not
gonna
no
be
car,
righteous. Not
right?
no car, man. Not no house. Not none of that material carnal stuff. You gonna be righteous. Cause that's the goal is the kingdom.
Uh,
Everything else is worthless, man. Everything else is worthless. Not saying you use a car to go do what you gotta do your job,
right,
get back and forth. You need a house to cover your shame. The chief
right.
things in life, we understand that, but we speaking on a deeper level here, man.
Uh,
When you
uh,
really understand what this Bible is about, the only thing you're gonna want the Lord to give you is a desire to hate sin and to please him. That's gonna be the thing you want the most,
yep.
right? Read on, verse 7.
Rest in the Lord and wait patiently for Him. Fret not
Mm.
thyself because of him who prosper in the way, in his way, because of the man who bringeth wicked devices to pass.
Some of these people bringing wicked devices to pass. They prospering in that dope dealing, selling drugs. They started that business up off of dope money, off of selling their body, being a prostitute, being a stripper. They was able to come out of that lifestyle, and now they got money and they doing it quote unquote legit. Right? Don't fret yourself over that. Read on.
Cease from anger and forsake wrath. Fret not thyself in any wise to do evil.
Don't do evil. Don't try to come up with no master plan, no get rich quick scheme, right? Read on.
Mm. For evildoers shall be cut off, but those that wait upon the Lord, they shall inherit the earth.
We gonna get the
That's right.
earth.
Done.
If you wait on the Lord, you're gonna get the earth,
That's right.
the whole planet. Understand? This ain't nothing that they got right now. Eyes have not seen and ears have not heard. You have no idea. What he said to
Mm,
Ezra, you come far short of loving my creation more than I
more
do.
than not.
You don't know what the Most High want to give. You have no idea. This world right here, that blunt, that backwood, that sex, whatever it is, it can't compare to what we got in
Mm-mm.
store for us. You just gotta keep serving the Most High, man. Right? Read on, verse 10.
For yet a little while, and the wicked shall not be. Yeah,
Just
thou
a
shalt diligently consider his place, and it shall not
uh,
be.
just a little while longer. Just a little while longer. This also talking about Esau, but that's another class.
That's
Read
right.
on.
Yep. But the meek shall inherit the earth, and shall delight themselves in the abundance of peace.
The meek gonna
Mm.
inherit the earth. So, ladies and gentlemen, don't sorrow after the world. Godly sorrow worketh repentance, which is not to be repented of. But sorrow after the world is gonna get you death. All right. So all praises to the Most High. Pray that this was edifying, that you
That
were
was
able to
fire.
get something out of it. Um, and if you let me see what we got. Any announcements. New moon, that's gonna be the memorial of blowing trumpets. This is the highest new moon. All right. This is a high holy day. That's gonna be September 29th at evening. All right. Was gonna make the announcement that we were gonna be having Feast of Tabernacles at Grassy Pond, but they are closed indefinitely. All right, so we're gonna be in the process of finding a new campsite. Most high willing, we'll have that information on the next class. All right. But the new moon memorial of blowing trumpets is gonna be on the 29th. Like I said, that's the seventh month of the Hebrew year. Before that, most high willing, sometime this week I'll do a class on how to understand and count the high holy days, the Hebrew calendar. I know that can be confusing to some people. They wonder how we come into the conclusions of when the high holy days are. Most high willing, I have that class out for you tomorrow. All right, I'll do the class tomorrow and be able to upload it tomorrow. Most high willing. All right. I think that's probably it, man. You got anything, Eleazar?
Nah, y'all just keep enduring, man. Stay down. Hey, people gonna hate you, the world gonna hate you. That's all out.
Kind. Be encouraged, y'all. We appreciate each and every last one of y'all for coming and congregating and learning the Bible with us. All right. We're gonna catch y'all next time. All praise to the Most High. And with that, we say shalom.
Shalom.